What's up, guys? This is DizzyPW, James Blunt's older, fatter sidekick, signing in for a field assignment at KOG Games office, doing final checks on my OP Arahan Yamaraja class here before we jump into the latest raid added to the anime side-scrolling brawler Elsword. Let's hop into this. Alright, for those of you out there that are slightly in the know on Elsword, you probably know the setup of the game. You typically fight through a series of maps to get to a final boss, and that's how you pass through every challenge. That's not quite the case in this field boss we're taking on here, Drabaki. Instead, it's an extension of their recently added field boss system in which you go to open world maps, the new connectors between towns that helped flesh out the world. And in certain maps, if you fight enough monsters, you'll eventually get a portal instead of the normal field boss to appear. And here we are after going through the portal. Now, Drabaki is quite the challenge. All of the GMs here are packing. We've got GM mosh-up, by the way, GM Crow, GM Sigma, all of the big shots here. We've got more than half of the office, actually, the North American office, teamed up with me to take this down. And they have yet to beat it. So I'm hoping that adding me on Yamaraja is going to be the key to finally taking down Drabaki. But what I'm getting at is that most bosses you take on Elsword and most dungeons in general are 4-man setups. This is any random 12 people that happen to be on the map at the time when the portal appears can join together to take this guy on. And believe me, you're going to want a good group of 12 people. We're going in with only 8, so it's not very likely we're going to be able to take out all 100 HP bars that Drabaki's packing. But we do have 10 minutes left on the clock before this area closes out, and we do have some of the most powerful Code Empress, Code Nemesis, and Code Battle Seraphs ever to exist on the North American server with us on the 3rd anniversary of Eevee's introduction into the game. So maybe some kind of divine fate's going to be on our side. I've put in maybe about 60 hours of time into playing Elsword in the past, and I'm even having a hard time keeping track of what's going on in this battle. There's just so much effects going on. So for you out there, if you're not familiar with it, I would say the key way to figure out if it's good or bad is if it's purple. This Drabaki's got some kind of evil purple rain going on all over the map. And we literally need communication between each other, because the key to surviving, or at least staying alive long enough to do anything that matters in Elsword, is to know the tails on the enemy and move your ass left, right, up, down, anywhere to get out of the way of that damage. And here, if you're fighting on the tail or you're fighting on the head, you can't even see the tails coming from the tail on the other side of this monster. It's getting pretty confusing. They've even got these sweet cinematic setups for his attacks, which normally only the main characters get dynamic camera views. So that's a pretty nice little touch they've got going on here. Really adds to the cinematic feel of the fight. Anyway, for those of you out there curious about the lore, I don't know it completely, but from what I can tell in the background and the intro and the trailer that they gave me a preview at the office, it seems to revolve something around Arahan, the Fox Girl's hometown that I'm playing currently. So her backstory is she comes from a town that was supposed to protect a very mystical item, and of course her brother ended up being massively corrupted by the demons that seem to be the main enemy inside of the game. And as a result, the seal was broken. You ended up saving the seal by merging with the fox that I've completely given to on the dark side by choosing the Yamaraja pathline. And now it seems like things have only gotten worse for that town as this gigantic metal snake dragon is here to finish us off. But back to the fight. So a serious compliment that I can give to the dev team on just the design of this map is that they really seem to have made it equal out for just about every one of the classes. No particular class feels very overpowered versus another one here. If you're more of an aerial type that needs to flip through the air, you can jump up and hit this guy in the face a bunch of times and do some serious damage. If you're more of the stand your ground and unleash some serious combos, then they've got that as an option too. And this guy's even got black holes. What is going on? So, and yeah, basically no matter who you are, I'd say one disadvantage is playing a squishier class because it's nearly impossible to dodge the types of tells that this guy is throwing out. Just every couple of seconds, something's flying at you from the top, from the bottom. You can't see half of them coming because you got to communicate with your teammates on what's going on, which is going to be a little bit challenging if you're pugging this. but it feels like it's going to be a cold day in hell before an actual pug of 12 people just come in here and randomly beat this guy. You really got to prepare for this. I've been trying to hold myself back a little bit since the GMs gave me much more overpowered gear than what they're using. Now, my class, Yamaraj, is a little bit tankier than Eevee, so you'll see them getting hit for almost their full bar, while I'm losing maybe half to a quarter. But even beyond that, it's definitely my gear is just way above anything you should ever see. I'm basically the endgame boss of Elsword right now. But I'm trying to balance that out by using only the 50% restore pots instead of the complete heals that you see the GM spamming constantly in the chat box, along with their revives, because they are dropping left and right. If I can get through this entire thing, even if we don't beat it, if I can just survive without dying until that 6 minutes are up, I'll be happy with my performance. Now, another key thing on the tells with this boss that seems to be getting more common the further we get into this fight is that it's pretty punishing whether you're a ground character or an aerial character. Most of the explosions seem to start on the ground, but they're starting to shoot these lasers up that just push you back and forth into everything else. So if you've got some little animations that give you a little bit of invincibility time, I highly suggest timing them, because in certain situations there's no way you're getting out. And you'd have to do this fight so many times just to be able to predict what they're going to do to you. And I'm really starting to feel the wrath of this guy now. This 30-second cooldown time is feeling like a very long time on my pot use. So key thing when you're doing these fights that you have to think about in your strategy is full combos versus partial combos and then dodging. This is something you normally only have to do in Elsword in heavy PvP fights where you're trying to chain someone without getting the knockdown. And what is this? He's just now enraged? What have we been dealing with before now? This is insane. Alright, so even more so than before, you have to be careful with the full combo completion versus the end combo. Now, if you know your class well enough in this game, you'll know that you've got fighting combos akin to any 2D fighting game. And if you go to that final hit on it, you'll usually go through an animation that you're not going to be able to cancel out of unless you use an ability, which is still going to leave you vulnerable. And at that point, if he does his ultimate attack, you're dead. You're not going to get out of it. And if you're using the gear that a normal player... Okay, see how much health I just lost in that? If you're using the gear that a normal player would have in Elsword, you would be dead right now. That would have been the end of me. It's no wonder the GMs haven't beat this thing yet. But beyond that, I'm imagining there must be some serious loot to be had here. Because if your guild can organize together and take this thing down, you deserve some serious bragging rights. But one thing that I'm seeing is true that's been a recent feature of Elsword is they kind of fool you with the HP bars to give you some false hope on these bosses. Like, when you get closer to the end, of course they're going to get harder, and that's only true the further into the game you get. But in this case, he had 100 HP bars, and we were just cutting through them like butter on a Thanksgiving dinner. And now he's in his last 6 HP bars, and he's making it literally rain everywhere on the map. I can't even get close enough to record him on my screen. And those that are crazy enough to try are 4 down. Let's see, anyone else going to drop? I'm pretty much one of the only ones alive right now. I wonder how many revives these GMs brought. I wonder... So the real question here is, if your guild can actually beat this guy, can you do it in a way that's still profitable? Because it seems like you're going to be blowing through some of the most expensive items in the game to try to even have a shot at getting him down this far. And that's hoping that you have the damage to do it. So we got 3 minutes, 20 seconds left. About 4 or 5 HP bars left. You can't even see it when he's in this state. And he's still busting out new tricks. He never gets dull. You don't know when it's going to be a chance for you to rest in this one. You just have to try to see through your teammates' attacks and figure out what is going on. About the only tell that I can see. And you look at him, he's even like moving his tail back and forth like he's pretending he's about to do something. Just, it feels so... Okay, in PvP in this game, it's really nerve-wracking because every little slight movement you think is going to be your opponent faking you out or going in for the attack, you've got to be able to tell. They're essentially capturing that part of the game and bringing the same heart-pounding action into the PvE right now, with the same amount of chaos of having so many people fighting on the screen at once. Now, that really shows this game has come places from the really stereotypical green forest setting that the game starts in. hopefully they do some more to, along with the field bosses, to reinvigorate the game like this. All right, I think we've pushed him to the edge. He's probably going to do some kind of like last gasp ultimate at this point. I don't even know what that's going to be, but I don't want to be anywhere near him because I still haven't done it. I haven't died. I'm so close to lasting out all 12 minutes without dying. I'm not going to ruin it now. And the worst part is, as you can see, my tails are down, and I finally don't have enough spirit or fury to resummon them. So if I take any hits right now, it's going to be rough. Wait. Gonna be. We got him. This is the first time KOG Games North America has taken down Drabaki. Bukati. I don't even know how to say his name right now. You figure it out. All right. That's it. Let's take a look at some of the items you got. It looks like it's mostly purple boxes that you can get to unlock the special items, or as well as keys to get into some of the crazier dungeons. Like I said, I've only spent 60 hours inside of this game, so I'm not 100% certain on what all of this does. It's too far beyond me. If anyone out there is an Elsword novice and was completely lost during that video, I'm sorry, but this is the new endgame, and it's awesome. Well, my time's about up at the office right now, so I'm going to call it a day. If anyone out there wants to join me for some Elsword action, just buddy my Aura hand character, Kit Kasai, and I'll see you guys in game. This is DizzyPW signing off.